Hello everyone, and welcome to the full video guide for my 3.12 Detonate, Unearth, Ignite Trickster. Thank you to all the new subscribers, and if you do enjoy the content, consider being a subscriber yourself. I'd love to have you around. Without any further ado, let's get into the build guide. First, the basics. Again, this is an Ignite-based Trickster. We create high life corpses using Phantasmal Unearth, detonate them with Detonate Dead. We do use the Vol version of Detonate Dead so that we have the burst damage available when necessary. The Vol version of the skill will have 50% more damage than the normal version, so it's very good for clearing out bosses at the end of maps. We also will use Elemental Equilibrium and Elemental Overload to supplement the damage. For our defenses, we use Acrobatics, Phase Acrobatics, and Ghost Shrouds from the Ascendancy, giving us a ton of dodge and evasion. Speaking of the Ascendancy, the order I recommend is Patient Reaper for the damage boost and good sustain while mapping and clearing, Prolonged Pain for the more damage over time, and then Ghost Dance and Escape Artist for the aforementioned Ghost Shrouds to help out with our defenses. For the Bandits, we kill all for the juicy skill points, and for the Pantheons, I recommend Solaris and Garukan. In terms of the passive tree, here is my current level 95 tree. There will be a link in the description with a path of building file with these trees and my current gear in it. Make sure to go down and grab that. Here is a example level 90 tree with cluster jewels. If you happen to not have any cluster jewels yet, you can have a level 90 tree something like this. Also have an example 80-point tree for just before hitting the maps and towards the end game. And an example 40-point tree for getting halfway there while you're in leveling. In terms of the gear, starting with the gloves, the build does use Hands of the High Templar. Our S tier or top gloves has the +1 to level of all gems, +2 to AoE, and +2 to projectile gems. Get all three if you can. If you can't, the next best is the +1 all with either +2 mod, followed by both +2 mods, and followed finally by just simple +1 gems. The +1 gems mod will also apply to our Enhance, which will increase the corpse life that we get out of our Unearth. For the helm, the most important thing is to get the Unearth spawns corpses with +5 level enchant. This is an enormous chunk of damage for the build. Beyond that, grab an ES base, which will be turned into evasion thanks to our Ascendancy, and then as much life as you can get with as much resistances as you need. Don't need to go anything crazy here, just focus on the enchant on an ES base with a ton of life. In terms of boots, for general clearing and mapping, we do use Aberrath's Hooves. The mod when you kill an ignited enemy, inflict an equivalent ignite on each nearby enemy, does chain and allows for some very satisfying clear. For just general bossing, you can just get a regular pair of hunter boots with the faster ignite mod just to get a little more damage out of your single target. For body armor, my personal recommendation is Kintsugi, but if you have the dex requirement needed for Hiri's Ire, that is also a good choice. And other than that, just grab yourself any rare with a ton of life and resistances. In terms of the weapons, we will dual wield wands. We are looking for +1 to physical spell gems to drive the level of our Unearth even higher. We also are looking for fire dot multi and open suffix so that we can craft the trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill craft, and also on the lookout for increased fire or increased burning damage. You do not need to pay attention to spell damage. The explosion is secondary damage and will not be scaled by spell damage, so don't worry if you have no spell damage rolls on your wand. In terms of the other gear, if for the regular jewelry, you're just looking for life and the resistances that you need. If you can get any kind of elemental or fire damage, go for it. For the jewels, kind of along the same lines, the Watcher's Eye mod you want to look out for is the faster dot damage while under the influence of malevolence. An Unnatural Instinct would be a very great choice if you're looking to dump some money into this and looking for a big purchase. And then in terms of flasks, I recommend a Cinder Swallow, a Quartz Flask, a Jade Flask, and a Quicksilver Flask, and a Life Flask to help you out when you start bleeding. In terms of the cluster jewels, we're really just looking for any fire or elemental damage. Here are a few of my favorites that I go for. Now going on to the gems, our 6-link main damage for Vol Detonate Dead is going to be Deadly Ailments, Burning Damage, Swift Affliction, Hypothermia, and Unbound Ailments. If you do not have a 100% chance to ignite on your Detonate Dead, you can sub in Combustion to help you get you there. On the trigger wands, we'll have one wand with Wave of Conviction, Combustion, and Flammability, and a second wand with Stormbrand, Cold Snap, and Increased Critical Strikes. In the gloves, this is where you will put your Phantasmal Unearth with Enhance and Empower, and then unlinked from there, you can have Malevolence. Then our support skills, we will have a 4-link Flame Wall with Burning Damage, Elemental Focus, and Control Destruction, a 3-link Flame Dash, Infernal Cry, and Second Wind, and then the last socket open, we will have Summon Skitterbots. Some quick leveling tips. This build is a very easy level as Fireball and Flame Wall ignite. There's no tree changes necessary. You can just push through with your current tree. A couple nice items to pick up would be a Pyre Sapphire Ring or an Ash Collar or even 2 Ash Collars. This would really help boost your damage, and a 3-link Fireball and a 3-link Flame Wall will carry you quite a long way in the campaign. Now to wrap things up, here's some frequently asked questions that kind of popped up on the last video. Why are we going Trickster instead of Necromancer? It's really just preference. I think you could easily make this as a Necromancer. If you would like to experiment with it, go for it. I'd be happy to see what people can think of, but Trickster has always been a favorite of mine, and that is why I pushed for that. Is this a viable league starter? It's really unknown at this time. We just don't know next league what the status of the alternate quality gems is going to be and how easy they are going to get. As it is a very easy start as Fireball and Flame Wall, you could just roll with that until you have all the other parts available. So the answer is maybe, could be, who knows. We'll see when the 3.13 patch notes come out. How to calculate corpse life. So I will have a link in the description to a spreadsheet. If you open that spreadsheet, it has the base level for every life of monster. Find the level that you are generating, multiply that by 1.1, which is the base multiplier for a Bone Archer, which is what Unearth is, and then you can apply any of your increased corpse life modifiers to that number, and then you can find out exactly how much life your unearthed corpses have. You heard me mention before, secondary damage. We are scaling the explosion portion of the Detonate Dead. The game considers this secondary damage. It means it's not spell damage and it's not attack damage. So there's no need to go after any increases to spell damage. So even Detonate Dead is a spell. The portion of the skill that we are scaling is not considered spell damage. So you don't have to worry about going out of your way to get any kind of spell damage mods. And last but not least, why no minion life mods? It's because the corpses are not considered minions. Unearth doesn't have the minion tag, so we are really only focusing on the corpse life, and that is it. So, if I missed something, or you have any additional questions, or you just are in the middle of running this build and just want me to check something out, or anything you want to let me know, drop a comment, drop a subscription. Love to have you guys around. But for now, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whatever applies to you, and I hope everybody has a good day. Goodbye.